All right. Welcome back to the pod, everybody. It's been a while after a longer than usual, longer than expected holiday hiatus. Hope everyone had a safe, fun, happy, healthy holiday season. In terms of the holidays on my end, we drove to Florida to be with my dad for Thanksgiving and drove all the way up to New York to be with Christina's family for Christmas. Those were some long, arduous drives, but totally worth it. Then capped it off with a concert to bring in New Year's. After that, we went to New Orleans for Christina's work conference. It was also cool because it was right after the snowstorm that they got, and they were setting up for the Super Bowl, which was really cool to see. And it was her first time there as well, which also made it special. And we were also celebrating her birthday. So there's a lot to be excited about there and very memorable, especially for her first time. Now, for what's been missed since the last episode, USA men's basketball won the gold medal, along with the USA winning the medal count for the actual games themselves, which was really good to see and a really nice, way to cap off the games. The New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, disappointed this year as always, but excited for where we're sitting this upcoming draft. In terms of hockey, my Rangers we started off in the tank, but we're now on the upswing, which is nice. Hoping to keep that momentum. In terms of the general big name topics in sports, NFL wise, Debo Samuel has requested a trade from the Niners, the 49ers. Russell Wilson is being let go by the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers has been let go by the Jets, which is pretty crazy. So lots to be interested for and watch out for there. And last but certainly not least, in case you missed it, one of the biggest trades in NBA history and maybe even sports history. If you're not aware, the Lakers traded Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks. So, for those who don't know, he is a 25-year-old phenom from Slovenia. He's been a phenom really since I think he was like 13, 14, 15, playing against grown men in their Slovenian version of the NBA and was like absolutely schooling people. So, in terms of what he's accomplished since he's been here, he hasn't won an MVP yet, but he's been either top 5 or top 3 since I think his second year in the league, I believe. He took his team to the NBA Finals last year, and he really is one of a kind. In terms of the Anthony Davis portion, currently AD is probably a top 5 player in the league and a defensive guru, but he has an injury history, so long term, this hugely set our franchise up for success. So I'm stoked. A lot of people thought it was a train robbery when they saw it. When they came through, they thought Shams got hacked. So that's how crazy of a trade it was. So monumental for sure. When the Lakers initially traded for Anthony Davis way back when, I think this was like 2018 or maybe 2019, I can't remember. We traded 3 great young prospects and some draft picks. And out of it, we got 2 conference championship appearances, an NBA title, and an NBA Cup. So definitely worthwhile trade on the front end of that, and then and now on that trade that I was just referring to, the Luka one, we got Luka and actually another solid player as well, actually 2 on top of Luka, and an additional first round pick, which we've been lacking these last few years. So we also now have a future as well. So the trade on both ends, the front end with the AD, the championship appearances, the finals, the title, and the cup, and now having a future, both ends beneficial for us. So in terms of storylines, at least as it relates to Luka being on the Lakers, will this make him get in shape? He Part of the reason why the Mavericks didn't want to re-sign him was his health and his sort of cardio and conditioning. So I mean this in sort of 2 portions. So with LeBron spending $2 million a year on his body, and Luka also being traded by his team in his prime, will this sort of motivate Luka to get to that next level? Another storyline, LeBron teaching his genius basketball IQ to Luka, who already has an amazing one. That's interesting and something to keep an eye on. LeBron sort of passing the torch of the league itself to Luka since he's getting ready to retire soon. The Lakers never really had a succession plan with Anthony Davis, so that's something to kind of look out for on that front. Um, LeBron could, now stay on the Lakers and continue to shape Luka for years to come. These last, maybe 1, 2, 3 seasons of his, or he could now do a sign and trade himself to the Warriors, which has been rumblings these last few years, and actually retain pieces for the Lakers via that trade in return to help again set up the Lakers for the future on a foundation he helped build. Or he could literally just leave us in free agency this coming off season. So that's something to look out for as well. Something else also kind of interesting, JJ Redick and Luka were teammates, funnily enough, when he was on the Mavericks, which is kind of funny. And now JJ is Luka's head coach. Also something funny, or I guess at least ironic, Kyrie and Anthony Davis both won titles with LeBron. Definitely interesting that the Luka portion, Luka missed out on a supermax contract, which is an additional $100 million because of this trade. And he also just bought a house like 2 or 3 weeks before this in Dallas. So it was kind of a grimy move by the Mavericks GM, although it honestly might have just been a call from the owner upstairs, honestly. So that's kind of a little byproduct of this trade. And the last couple was just AD being injured, being traded for Luka, who currently has an injury but should be back tomorrow, I think, to make his Lakers debut. It was kind of ironic. And now the Mavericks set up for this year and potentially next year, in the short term, having Anthony Davis and Kyrie on their team, but the Lakers and Luka being set up for the next 5 to 12 and potentially after that. So those are the interesting storylines as it relates to the Lakers and the Luka trade. Now on to today being the Super Bowl and some of the interesting storylines that relates to that. First, the Chiefs and the Eagles actually play for the second time in 3 years, so that's kind of funny and ironic and interesting. The Taylor Swift factor, obviously. Ryan Reynolds' business partner is facing off against his wife's best friend, which I'll touch on a little bit further, kind of after the storyline portion. Saquon Barkley, being from my Giants, being let go this year and signing with this new team. The first year being with that team and reaching the Super Bowl and potentially winning it. That's something to, in terms of storyline, very interesting. Is this going to be Travis Kelce's last year? Will Travis propose to Taylor, whether they win or lose? But it would certainly mean a lot more meaningful if he makes history and then does it right after. I'm sure there's some betting odds on that front. Will the Chiefs coach Andy Reid retire after this year? That's something to look out for. DeAndre Hopkins, for those who don't know, he's a wide receiver on the Chiefs. His background, if you don't know the story about him and his mother, that's certainly, a full circle moment for him to be playing in a Super Bowl. I certainly hope that he wins it just for the stuff that he's had to overcome, also playing with not so great teams, but potentially being a Hall of Famer. If he wins a championship, that should maybe solidify him as a potential Hall of Famer. So that's interesting to look out for. If the Chiefs win, it'll be the first team of all time to have a three-peat, which would be back-to-back-to-back wins. And then there's the Kendrick Lamar portion. The halftime show performing a diss track. It's kind of shallow and hollow and a bad look for the NFL, at least in my opinion. Also, if the Super Bowl is in Lil Wayne's hometown, why wouldn't he be the main attraction? That kind of doesn't make any sense to me, which is also, again, a bad look for the NFL and also for Jay-Z, who oversees the entertainment selections. So all that's just for the Super Bowl, believe it or not. In terms of it being a Giants fan, I certainly want the Chiefs to win because the Eagles are an arch rival of ours. But even if they do win, the Eagles, I still like Saquon. This is the quietest, successful Eagles team and potentially successful Philadelphia team that I've ever encountered in my life. So, I could stomach it. Also, Jason Kelce not getting a championship. would make me 1% less mad, embarrassingly. But don't cry for him. I mean, he's still going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He now has a very successful podcast, and so does his wife. So if the Eagles win, it would be the least amount of negatives in a scenario where my team's arch rival potentially wins a championship. So, um, as it relates to the fixes in portion of the Chiefs and the NFL, that theory to me doesn't really hold water. Um, it just doesn't make sense. Like, so you're saying that the league wants the Chiefs to win, so that would mean that any bettors or anyone who can see patterns begin to establish would just bet on the Chiefs to win every time. So that would lose the sports books money, which would hurt their relationship with the NFL. So to me, just thinking about this kind of logically and monetarily, it just doesn't make any sense. Now that being said, I mean that may have been the case as it relates to the NBA and Michael Jordan, but back then sports books were all illegal, so there was no established companies, there was no partnerships between the NBA and those companies. It was all just Italian bookies in Kansas City and in Vegas, which was sequestered in the desert. So now, almost a third of the states in the U.S. it's legal. Each team, each league, all has kind of a vendor sponsor, so it would hurt one company and the other one would benefit. So to me it just doesn't hold water, but that's my 2 cents. So and the thing I'll kind of circle back on is Ryan Reynolds. I mentioned this before. It must be kind of crazy being pulled in both directions for the Super Bowl when his business partner Rob McElhenney, who is a lifelong Eagles fan, diehard. He owns the Wrexham soccer team with Rob. So his best friend and business partner is on one side, the Eagles, and his wife's best friend is Taylor Swift, who is dating the Chiefs tight end, and who knows, they might be proposed by the end of today. So, or engaged. So, what are the odds of this? I mean, like, how many lifetimes would this particular set of circumstances, someone's best friend and business partner and their wife, their two teams facing off in the Super Bowl in the same year? Kind of wild. Interesting food for thought there. This one's going to be a little bit more of a muted podcast. I don't have it like fully structured with the Mount Rushmore, the Did You Know. So I'll just kind of tie this in together here and round this out in terms of supplemental stuff. So I saw Honora and Baby Girl recently. Both were absolutely incredible. Highly suggest those. Read up on them on Google, kind of the awards that they won. Check them out on IMDb or Letterboxd. Captain America 4 comes out this Thursday. I have a tradition. I always go to any Marvel or DC movie on opening night. So very excited for that coming here soon. The Fantastic Four trailer just dropped, so beyond thrilled about that. And then just stuff around the corner, NBA All-Star Weekend, always the same weekend as Valentine's Day, which is kind of funny. Kind of makes you choose between your girl and sports, but I'm going to try to get as much of both as I can. The Oscars, a lot of rumblings, especially with some of the divisiveness as it relates to, the people that did or didn't win like Critics' Choice Awards or Screen Actors Guild and all that kind of stuff. So it will be interesting to see what the fallout is as it relates to the winners of the Oscars and the snubs. So yeah, that's it. A lot of stuff upcoming and couldn't be more excited about it. But thanks for stopping in. I appreciate you guys. Stay out of trouble and excited to talk to you on the next one. All right, talk soon. Take care.